Hey, what is going on? So this is your stimulus check update information. I want to get you caught up on all the information, the latest information. The House of Representatives did pass the $1.2 or $1.9 trillion stimulus, the next big stimulus. It has to go to the Senate. I'm going to cover some of those details, plus all the states that are sending in more stimulus checks out to everybody. Plus there is this $1,400 checks that people could be getting in the year 2022. So that could be millions of people getting more stimulus payments. But first, Congress is going to try to get this new bill passed. They have a couple of different things they got to work through, and that's one of the things is the debt ceiling. They have to raise the debt ceiling up to get these bills passed. If they don't, then they can't fund the government anymore, which they will do. I mean, the Congress, they go back and forth. They put on this whole charade, but then they end up getting it done, and then it gets passed. But right now you have the approved bill, the stimulus bill in the House of Representatives. It's going to go over to the Senate. The Senate has to vote on it, and then they have to get it done. And they have to get it done really in the next, I guess it's 10 scheduled working days, because they leave on December 13th and they take off for the end of the year. They don't come back until maybe the first week in January. So basically take off a whole month. And if they don't get this bill passed, then that means no more stimulus checks until they get it passed in January. I have a feeling they're going to get it passed before the end of the year. It looks like they're going to try to push this through quickly. So that's something that's good news. The Senate, I think they're going to go back and forth a little bit on the bill to try to get some of the things that they want out of it, that they think it's maybe too much. The Build Back Better bill is going to be the families plan, where they're going to extend out a lot of the child tax credits, possibly maybe a fourth stimulus check in there. We're not really sure unless they get this whole thing done. There are some Democrats that aren't real happy with this bill. They need to get all 50 votes in the Senate in order to get this passed. Once it gets passed, then it gets over to President Biden's desk. Also, President Biden did sign the other bill that got passed in both the Senate and House of Representatives. That was a giant infrastructure bill that's going to get more money out to jobs and businesses, and try to get the roads and bridges back in line with where they should be. So they're going to throw a ton of money at trying to build up highways and bridges and roads and things like that. So we'll have to see. Maybe those potholes that you run over on consistently will get filled in, because I see a ton of potholes around my area, and hopefully maybe the federal government will come in and help those local cities get some more money to them. So millions of people could be qualifying for another stimulus check. It looks like if you had a baby in the year 2021, that you're going to be able to get another stimulus payment of $1,400. You can file your returns, and then you can get that extra $1,400. Plus, you'll be adding that child tax credit also in there, so you'd be getting that monthly check going out. Any kids under the age of 6 are getting a $3,600 check from the federal government as a child tax credit. So that'd be good news if you do have children. So you definitely want to file that. It does pay off to, I guess, have children at the time. If you have 4 or 5 children, you're going to be getting a monthly check. They'll probably extend out the child tax credit out through the year 2022. And usually once they get those, they're saying they're going to try to extend it out through another year, but once they get them through Congress and all that, it's easier to keep the programs going versus ending the program after a year. So that's good news if you do have children. Also good news is that a lot of the states in the United States are getting stimulus out to everybody. Some states aren't doing the right thing, I think, as far as the federal government money. I know one, Alabama, they're going to be trying to improve prisons in that area with their stimulus plan. But some of the bigger states that I think are good is that Arizona is offering a back-to-work program, to where if you get a full-time job, you get a $2,000 payment that would be sent out through the state. I think that's good. I really think the Federal Reserve and the federal government should incentivize people to go back to work, because that's where the economy really flourishes. And when people are back to work and they're servicing and all that, people sitting at home doing nothing doesn't really help the economy move forward. California stimulus, you got Golden State stimulus 2. This is something that checks are already going out. I think there's probably going to be a Golden State stimulus 3, because they have $31 billion in reserves in the state. So $1,100 checks are going to be going out to everybody in the state of California. So look for those if you did file your returns. Colorado, I think, is sending out $350 checks. Connecticut is another back to work program. So if you live in the state of Connecticut, you can get a check, I think, going back to work. Some of the other states like Florida, they're sending out $1,000 payments to teachers and frontline workers. Georgia, is sending out $1,000 checks to teachers in that area. Some of the other bigger states that are going to be sending out checks will be things like Georgia, Tennessee, and then Kentucky, I think, is going to be sending out another check for stimulus to get people back to work. And then Michigan has a $500 hazard pay. And then you have some of the other states in here that really haven't done much yet, but I think they have to spend this money before the end of the year. So that's going to be good news. Hopefully they'll get some more money out to everybody. New Hampshire recently popped up $1,086 per month for people that don't have any income. And then some of the other states I think will be giving out like tax rebates and things like that in that state. Because every state, I think not every state, but most of the states have an income tax in the state. But you can go to places like Florida, Texas, Nevada. They don't have any income taxes in those states. So you can move there and not pay those income taxes. New York has a ton of money. They have $2.1 billion fund for undocumented workers. And then some of the other, like New York City, I think is sending out $5,000 to artists. Also a ton of money going into taxi cab drivers and the homeless in that state. Some of the other states are just going to be trying to figure out what is going to be the best plan for them to getting more money out. Tennessee, I know, is sending out $1,000 checks to teachers. Texas has individual cities that are sending out stimulus. I know Denton, or I think it's Denton, had $2,000 payments going back to teachers, trying to get them back to work. So they had to incentivize people to go back to work there. And then Vermont has they will reimburse your relocation grant up to $7,500 if you move to that state of Vermont. You can get up to $7,500 paying for your move to go there, but you have to go there and work in the hospitality or construction business. Now, I particularly would not want to move to Vermont. I think it's going to be freezing there. I'd rather stay in a warm weather area. But ultimately, if you do move there, they're going to help you out with your moving expenses. So if you have any questions, drop those questions in the comments below. I'm going to keep you updated on all these stimulus check update information. That way you get to up to date on what's happening with stimulus. If you have any questions, drop them in there below. Always stay back on or come back to these videos, because I'm always going to keep you updated on stimulus and what's happening with latest money that's going out to everybody in these different states and the federal government, how much money they're going to be sending out. So always stay tuned. I'll keep you updated, keep you posted on all the latest information on stimulus.